Um, I'm not sure, Linda, is Valerie here to kind of start the slides or? Yeah.
Valerie is here.
Okay.
I am here. Or you want me to start it?
Yes, please. I'm sorry.
Okay, I thought Linda was going to do that since I have to leave early.
I can if you want.
Okay.
Share screen. Application.
All right. The beginning of our program might not have been as smooth as your typical C-SPAN program, but here we are. Welcome, everyone. Greetings and welcome to the November 9th, 2020 meeting of the Rotary Club of Raleigh. Since we last met, we had a little civic exercise that took place. Perhaps you've heard something about that. My understanding is that about 160 million people nationwide voted in the election last week, the highest turnout ever in our country. Of course, we also had people, we discussed this a little bit before the meeting started, at the local, national levels who raised their hands and did a brave thing by putting themselves out there and run. So I'd like to start today's meeting by giving a word of thanks to everyone who took that leap of faith and sought the opportunity to serve our country through seeking elective office. It's a difficult and a scary thing to do, and it's an important thing for people to do, to stand up and do that. And I want to particularly thank the 3 members of our club who were on the ballot here in Wake County, and 2 of them throughout our state in this recent election. And that's Justice Mark Davis, Judge Lucy Inman, and Register of Deeds Charles Gilliam. I think it's fair to say that the results in each of those races was not what they had hoped, but I think it's also fair to say that the result had nothing to do with the wonderful work that they have done in office and their professionalism and great work, and more to do with just some larger partisan forces at work this particular election cycle. So I'd like to start the meeting by having all of us give a hand to our 3 members who were running for elective office. All right, today we have a great program. If, like me, maybe you're a little bit tired of watching sort of the talking heads on TV who kind of spin and narrate about the political news. We're going to hear from some people who do things a little bit differently today. Our speaker, April Ranger, and the people that she has brought with us are going to talk to us about C-SPAN, which kind of has this mission to bring us unfiltered access to the business of government as it happens without the narration. So I, for one, am looking forward to hearing more about that. So without further delay, I'm going to turn the program over to Richard Watkins for the invocation and the pledge.
Thank you all, and thank you, Eric. As you mentioned last week, we all took part in an historic election. And in North Carolina, no matter who you are, it was probably a mixed bag. Some wins and some losses. And I know that for many reasons, there's reason for celebration. But in many ways, it's still a time for sober reflection. Don't let the elections or the energy around our democracy, though essential, though important, be a red herring for the task that we have laying before us. We have dark times ahead, and we have to find solutions that we can only come up with together. And I know it may be a bit cliche to say the only way that we'll get through these things as a country, as a state, and as a community is together, but it is true. It's ironic, or it may have been a little bit of foreshadowing, that our nation is called the United States, and abbreviated US, and that spells us. Us. We all have to work together to get through challenging times. And I would like to leave you with 4 words that I think should be paramount, regardless of who you are, regardless of where you stand on any particular issue. And those 4 words are patience, tolerance, compassion, and empathy. I love you all. Thank you very much. And may you all be blessed, and may your families be blessed. And join me now for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, and if someone is not here, thank you all very much for your time and your attention. Eric?
Thank you very much, Richard. Those 4 words definitely are what will help us get through this next difficult time. We have a pandemic that is continuing to increase the number of people who are sick and hospitalized and dying in North Carolina and throughout the country and the world. And we all need to work together to kind of help get a handle on that, as well as many of our other problems that we're facing. All right, please send an email to Linda or a notice in the chat to give some money to the CART bucket for Alzheimer's research. That work is ongoing, and we continue to need your help to support that important research. Does anybody have any happy dollars they want to share with us today? All right, we'll move on. Let's see. I know we have a few guests. Linda, do you want to announce our guests?
We do have a few guests, one of which is Narda Moat, who is going to have a reading today. Would you like to say hello, Narda? I think you have to unmute yourself.
Hey guys, good afternoon everyone. Again, I am Narda and I sent in my membership application to join. I am excited to join. This has been something that I have been doing since undergrad. I've served in the AmeriCorps program, which is a volunteer-based program for 2 years. And service has just been something that has been my passion. So I'm very, very excited to join.
Welcome, Narda, and thank you.
Thank you so much. And we also have James LaMancha from New York, who is moving his gallery, or has started to move his gallery down to Raleigh. Would you like to introduce yourself to those who don't know you?
Sure thing. Great to see everybody again. James LaMantia, past president twice of the Northport Rotary Club. I'm the chairman for Gift of Life Long Island and secretary for Gift of Life International, and I'm hoping to be able to share that program with you one day in the near future. I do move down on Sunday, and the gallery is opening in Cameron Village, either the 23rd or the 24th. So I'll let you all know about that when it does open, but soon.
That's great. And then we also have Marty Dominguez. Is that how I pronounce your last name? Hope I didn't butcher it.
Yeah, she's with us here at C-SPAN.
Okay, well, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
I believe that is all our guests. If there's anyone else, please speak now or forever hold your peace.
All right, thank you so much. And James, welcome back. We are looking forward to hearing from you at a future meeting about the Gift of Life program, and appreciate the great work you're doing with that. All right. Next week, want you to tune back in. We have one of our own as the speaker. Kirk Warner is going to be talking about his experiences during the Iraq War in the JAG program. And it's going to be great to hear from one of our own members and a recent president of this club about his role in kind of helping to shape our war effort there in Iraq and the efforts thereafter. All right. Moving on, we have an important announcement from Mary Moss.
Hey, everybody. I'm thrilled to report that the diversity committee that was established district-wide, and which I've been fortunate enough to be able to attend the meetings of for the past few months, has this discussion coming up on Saturday, the 14th from 9 to 10:15. Ann Clemens is, if you Google her or look her up on LinkedIn, you should check out her bio because she marched with Dr. King. She lives in Montgomery, Alabama. She has become a member of the new diversity club, the virtual diversity club here in the area. And she is, by profession, she runs tours in Alabama, the Rosa Parks tour and others. And she's just a noted member of that community and is just, we feel very honored that she's going to be our guest this Saturday from 9 to 10:15. So virtual meeting, take a look at the information here and please plan to come if you can. I think it's going to be a treat to hear her perspective. And there'll be other of these meetings coming up, other speakers' opportunities throughout the year. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much, Mary. And I think next we move on to Christy Santacana with a membership report.
Hello, everyone. Today we have exciting news. We're doing the second reading for Narda Mawat, as we had mentioned earlier, and she is on the call today. So excited to have her here and have her as a potential new member. She's a graduate student at NC State pursuing her master's in physiology and also works full-time in dental sales. And as she mentioned, she previously worked with AmeriCorps as a dental program manager and program coordinator. And she was also a member of her university's Rotaract Club. So she's excited to continue her Rotary service with us. And we're excited to have her as a potential new member. So please send any questions, comments to me. And that is all I have for today.
All right. Thank you so much, Christy. And Narda, again, we're so happy that you'll be joining us. All right, Gina is not here today, but there are a few things that we can pass on. First of all, we are still collecting toys that will be for the Toys for Tots program. So, please, if you haven't had a chance to do that, please purchase toys for that, and we will be collecting them up through mid-December. Also, there is the 2 upcoming dates for the park project at the Lavelle Moton Park. The first one is tomorrow from 9 o'clock to 12. And I just checked out the Sign Up Genius before joining the meeting today, and there are still 2 slots available. So if you have the time and inclination, you can go to the Sign Up Genius today and sign up for one of those final slots and help us. Tomorrow, what we're doing is putting in some certified wood chips for the playground. And then Saturday, November 21st, we'll be doing some plantings and some other landscaping work. That's from 9 a.m. to noon. And I believe that there are still 2 slots available for that as well. So those are going to be great opportunities. We're going to be wearing masks. We're going to be social distancing. We're going to be guided and led by members of the City of Raleigh Parks and Recreation Department. And it's going to be a great opportunity to get your hands dirty with some of your Rotary friends and do some good work to help beautify a downtown park. All right. Just to let you know, the Sign Up Genius is set up now for the Salvation Army bell ringing. As Gina mentioned last week, we are going to have a shortened bell ringing season this year. So the signups are from December 14th through the 24th, still at our same Walmart location in New Hope Church Road. So same as usual, except for just a little bit less time that we're going to be doing that. Please go to the Sign Up Genius, sign up. Again, you know, things are a little different this year. We're going to be wearing masks. We're going to be sure and keep 6 feet apart. And there are going to be some other steps that we take to ensure everyone's safety. But we do still need happy Christmas bell ringers to be there for the Salvation Army. All right. I thought Tom Packer sent this around today, and in light of the speaker that we have, we thought it would be kind of fun to put up this picture. This is from a C-SPAN broadcast a little while back, I think, maybe based on the hairdo there. But if you look at the gentleman kind of back behind the person that's getting grilled there in a House Commerce Subcommittee hearing, looks a little bit like our treasurer, Tom Packer. So maybe we'll hear a little bit more about that as we go along. Do you have any comments or defenses, Tom?
No, I was just hoping someday I'd make it to, I'd upgrade to C-SPAN from C-SPAN 2, but I never quite made it.
There's still time. All right. We have a couple of birthdays and anniversaries to announce. So happy birthday, John Martin, which is today. So didn't see if you were on the call, but happy birthday to him. Tomorrow is past President Jim Dorsett's birthday. So happy birthday, Jim. And then November 12th is Ron Garber. November 13th is Pete Ciccone. And for our anniversaries, we've got November 11th, Matt and Laura Munoz, and David and Stacy Forrest on the 12th. So happy anniversary to you all. I hope everyone celebrates and enjoys their special day. All right, with that, it's time for me to turn the program back over to Richard Watkins to introduce our speaker and program.
Thank you very much, Eric. I really appreciate it, and I'm very excited about today's speaker. I'm very excited about today's subject because I absolutely love the news. I know that is very strange. I know a lot of people don't like the news. I know the news is the last thing people want to see, you know, when they get home or go to the gym or whatever, but I absolutely love the news. And I love watching C-SPAN. If I get an opportunity to watch C-SPAN, if there's a huge event, whether it's the State of the Union or so on and so forth, I actually like to watch it on C-SPAN because I don't see as many of the talking heads, and I'm able to actually listen to what's going on the floor. It's just really, really awesome. And so that's why I'm super excited to introduce April Ranger. April Ranger has been with C-SPAN and the C-SPAN Community Relations team since 2019. She coordinates and leads presentations to educate students, civic groups, and others about C-SPAN's unfiltered mission and how its resources provide a window into Washington. After teaching in the New York City and DC areas for 13 years, April returned to the nation's capital in search of a new chapter in her career. She began her time at C-SPAN as a receptionist before shifting gears into community relations. While she's been a member of the C-SPAN family for just over a year, April is no stranger to the public affairs network. She's been an avid fan since growing up with her grandmother in DC In her spare time, she enjoys cooking with her nieces and nephews and teaching virtual Sunday school. When her TV isn't tuned to C-SPAN, you can bet it's turned to a good comedy. So hopefully we'll hear a little bit about those comedies. April, thank you so very much for joining us, and the floor is yours.
All right. Thank you so much, Richard, for that. Hello, everyone. Hello, Raleigh Rotary Club. We are so excited to be here with you all today. And I guess we'll just get started. We'll just jump right into things. So some of you will remember that television was once 3 giant networks and a government-supported channel called PBS. Back in 1979, our small network with an unusual name wrote out a big idea. We wanted to let you decide, all on your own, what was important to you. We opened the doors to Washington policymaking, bringing you unfiltered content from Congress and beyond. Now, in the 41 years since, the political and media landscape has clearly changed. But we think you'll find that C-SPAN's big idea is more relevant today than ever. Now, these unprecedented times demand an unconventional approach to political news coverage. I'm going to share with you the ways that C-SPAN, both on television and online, is a powerful media resource, widely trusted, with a wealth of easy to access tools for following the day's events and enabling you to be a better informed participant in our democracy. Now, underpinning our nonpartisan coverage of Washington and the nation's politics is the fact that no government money supports C-SPAN. It is funded as a public service by your cable or satellite television provider. Now, we're here for you, offering something distinct in today's media so that you can make up your own mind. But before we get any deeper into our discussion, let me introduce my colleague, Heath Leader. He's on the call. You should see him there. And although you'll be muted throughout the Zoom, please feel free to type any questions in the chat section at the bottom of your screen. And near to the end, Heath or I will answer your questions. We're recording today's presentation and we'll email it to you along with ways to stay connected with C-SPAN. Now, throughout our history, our democracy has faced many serious challenges. But think, have we ever faced so many at once? We're going through the worst pandemic in 100 years, an extremely volatile economy and job market, widespread social unrest unfolding across the country, and we're still within one of the most consequential fire and hurricane seasons we've seen in years. And all of this is happening during a historic presidential and congressional elections cycle that, as we all know, is still ongoing. Now, people are looking to see how your elected leaders in Washington are responding to all of these big events. We'll show you why C-SPAN should be one of the key networks you turn to see how public officials are responding to these pressing matters in their own words, and to see how their actions and policies are affecting you and your community. C-SPAN is different. We're purposely different. Now, let's talk about what that means. Let's talk about what that means for you. Let's talk about how you can use our unfiltered coverage and resources to view today's events and engage with news and newsmakers in ways that other media doesn't provide. Now, C-SPAN won't attempt to tell you what to think. Unique to television, we simply put you in the rooms where the most important political and policy issues are being discussed and debated, allowing you to watch these events in their entirety, for you to think for yourself, and as we said before, for you to make up your own mind. Now, a bit more about how C-SPAN is purposely different. Let's look at our business model, our unique perspective on public affairs news, and how our mission makes our coverage look a lot different from other media outlets. Now, if you think about it, 4 decades is a long time for a cable news channel. In fact, we were serving the public even before CNN and ESPN launched, and more than a decade before other cable news networks started. In that time, we've never veered from our core public service mission. We're uncommon in the media as a nonprofit, independent enterprise. Now, the cable television industry supported and launched this public service back in 1979. And contrary to many people's thinking, our funding does not come from the federal government. To this day, C-SPAN continues to be funded through fees paid by the cable and satellite companies that distribute television into your homes, like Spectrum there in Raleigh. Now, this funding allows C-SPAN to be mission-driven rather than by TV ratings. Now, we talk a lot about our mission, but let's take a closer look at how our mission is carried out, but what we do. Now, for us, the events and the people we cover, they are the focus. C-SPAN provides long-form programming. We show events from start to finish without interruption or editing, whether it's a 12-hour debate or a 20-minute press briefing. We show balanced coverage, providing multiple viewpoints, giving you a chance to hear from experts across the political spectrum who provide perspective and help you better understand the issues. Because quite simply, it's not about us. C-SPAN itself doesn't provide commentary. Lawmakers, the decision makers, and journalists who create, influence, and report on public policy, they're the ones that provide that perspective. Now, C-SPAN stays out of the way, giving our viewers direct access to those leaders. We invite viewers to participate in the discussion on social platforms, and most interestingly, live on TV by allowing you to call in to share your thoughts or to ask your questions on whatever topic is being debated. So, how does C-SPAN mission guide us to the events you'll be watching? We provide unparalleled coverage of Congress with live gavel-to-gavel coverage of floor proceedings from the U.S. House of Representatives on C-SPAN and the U.S. Senate on C-SPAN 2. We also cover committee hearings where decisions are made about the issues that affect your life. Not just the blockbuster events, but the day in and the day out inner workings of our national legislature. And we go deep into the corridors of the Capitol to show you briefings by congressional leaders in both the House and the Senate, as well as influencers in Congress, whether that's the Congressional Black Caucus or the Freedom Caucus. Now, between now and the end of the year, Congress will reconvene to debate major spending legislation regarding the pandemic and funding for the government. And stay tuned as the 117th Congress takes shape over the next couple of months, from new member orientation to their swearing in early January. Now, our coverage of the executive branch includes nearly all public events, briefings, and meetings at the White House, as well as many other briefings from officials in the different departments. And though the Supreme Court doesn't allow cameras in the court itself, we air audio of major cases, including live coverage of oral arguments, since the court was forced to go virtual due to the pandemic. And we welcome this access to the High Court and hope that it continues even after the pandemic is over. We will continue to seek full access to the court. And we also covered the entire nomination process of new Supreme Court Associate Justice Barrett, from her announcement to her multiple days of Senate testimony to her swearing in, and now her first cases she is hearing as a justice. C-SPAN covers it all. Now, our programming focuses mostly on what is going on in the federal government, but to provide our viewers more perspective, we often cover state officials showing how they're handling national issues on the local level. Governor Roy Cooper has been on C-SPAN 40 times discussing issues important to North Carolina. Also, beyond our coverage of elected officials, C-SPAN covers many events of national and international importance, whether it's a funeral of a national leader like Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, or timely relevant debates like our weekly coverage of Prime Minister's question from the British House of Commons. And C-SPAN has covered the entire 2020 campaign for Congress and the White House in our signature unfiltered way. We were there from day one when the candidates announced, all the way through the election night. And our coverage is continuing as votes are being counted and as we move towards the start of the new Congress and the inauguration in January. Now, our coverage included as you've seen, placing a camera in the rooms where these discussions and debates take place is C-SPAN's bread and butter. But in order to provide a fuller context for the decisions being made by our leaders and to get past the talking points, we go beyond coverage of events. We aim to add context through call-in programs like the Washington Journal, where decision makers and journalists answer viewer questions and discuss what's happening in the news. We air in-depth discussions with authors through our weekly Q&A programming. And here you can see the owner of Quail Ridge Bookstore talking about her community and what it's like to be an independent bookstore owner back in 2013. And we also have book TV programming, where you can see Nicholas Graham featured talking about the history of UNC. We also feature lectures and firsthand accounts of historical events on American History TV. And we show experts as they debate solutions to public policy issues during forums at a diverse array of think tanks and advocacy organizations. Now, there is a lot of discussion about the role of the news media in our society today, and you often hear the term fake news. Now, in the midst of this, C-SPAN is widely recognized and credited by others as factual, neutral, and trusted. And as you can see on this chart created by the media watchdog Ad Fontes, C-SPAN ranks at the top for our production of factual content and right in the center for our neutrality. This has been our journalistic goal for 40 plus years, simply by providing viewers a front row seat to our democracy in action. Now, for those of you who are familiar with our programming, our place on this chart probably comes as no surprise, but for those of you who are less familiar with us, we hope this provides some credible perspective on our role in the media. Now, before we get to your questions, we'll share how you can access our content. First of all, we have 3 television channels dedicated to providing live public affairs programming: C-SPAN, C-SPAN 2, and what do you know, C-SPAN 3. You can find us online at cspan.org, our video-rich website with live access to each day's coverage, and everything we cover is then available for on-demand viewing. Our website features a free video library with over 260,000 hours of programming, and it grows each day. Now, our online programs can be watched in their entirety, or for quick viewing, we feature points of interest that jump to the highlights within the entire event. You want to make your own clip and share it? You can do that too. Now, cspan.org's Congressional Chronicle gives you detailed information on what is happening in the House and the Senate. This is where you'll find a unique page for every member of Congress, with the committees they sit on, their voting record, bills they've sponsored, and more. For example, here's the page on your re-elected member of Congress, David Price. There you will find his 582 C-SPAN appearances, including his appearances for his, you'll find his 582 C-SPAN appearances. And if you would like to search for his appearances on other views and different issues that are important to you, you can do that too. Our website also features a full page dedicated to the government's response to the coronavirus and conversations taking place in the administration, in Congress, and on the state level. Now, if you are a teacher or you know a teacher, C-SPAN Classroom has a lot of great free resources, including short video clips, lessons plans, bell ringers, and in addition, we also have a video documentary competition for middle and high school students every year called Student Cam. Now, I'm happy to talk more about that in the Q&A once we're done with the presentation. All right, so if you want to stay informed while on the go, our free C-SPAN radio app, your one-stop shop for live stream of C-SPAN radio, audio from our 3 television networks, and a wide variety of podcasts. And make sure you follow C-SPAN on Twitter for timely content. Engage with the topics of the day on our Facebook page. Follow us on Instagram for features and peeks behind the scenes. And visit our YouTube page for even more video highlights. And if you'd like to get your news by email, C-SPAN also has a variety of newsletters you can sign up for, including Word for Word, which cuts through the daily news clutter and provides you a synopsis of political happenings, a program guide with daily schedule information, and our weekly newsletters with previews of what's going to be on Book TV and American History TV that upcoming weekend. And as you can see, we've stayed true to our mission while expanding to serve our audience in innovative ways with fresh concepts for digital platforms and devices. And of course, you can guess that politicians love C-SPAN, but you know who likes C-SPAN even more? Late night comedians. Take a look.
You're watching C-SPAN. Sorry, I read that wrong. You're watching C-SPAN?
C-SPAN.
C-SPAN.
C-SPAN, yes.
Did you see this? C-SPAN did a live stream of Trump's speech.
It shocked C-SPAN's audience, both of them.
Of course, everybody's interested in the Senate impeachment trial of President Donald Trump, but it's an especially big deal for one group of people, the production team over at C-SPAN.
Okay, guys, everybody in. Huge day. Senate impeachment trial of Donald Trump. I need everyone on their game. All right, hands in, everyone. Hands in. C-SPAN on 3. 1, 2, 3. C-SPAN! Was hoping for a little more energy, gotta be honest. Okay, we're live. In 3, 2, 1, take 2. Nice wide shot, Robbie. I love it. Just keep her right there. Okay.
Now pending. You will do impartial justice.
This is largely it until about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. You know what? You guys can all go home. I think I got this.
So there you have it. We know we won't be your only source. I'm sorry. We don't take ourselves too seriously that we can't enjoy a good laugh, even if at our own expense. But as C-SPAN teams work together to provide this service, it's the comments from our viewers, everyday Americans, influencers, and leaders who value C-SPAN that strengthens our resolve to remain purposely different.
that C-SPAN is a mirror of our country. They are unique in this brilliant model, and all they do is hold up the mirror so we can see ourselves.
So I say this every time I'm on. For your view, I've spent 20 years in that building behind you there covering it, and I could not do that job without C-SPAN. It is, for your viewers, as somebody who spends his day watching this stuff, they're all seeing it exactly as we see it inside that building. It's an amazing resource, so God bless C-SPAN.
Hi, good morning. And thank you for being available for the public to give us direct, unfiltered, unopinionated news.
First, I'd like to say I've been watching you guys for over 35 years, and I want to thank you so much for being on my cable stations. It's a pleasure when I watch your congressional hearings and watch the whole thing. And then I watch the news and how they report it and see how it differs. So I want to thank you guys very much for being one of the few stations out there that gives us real information.
Let me just also echo what so many of your callers have said. I want to thank C-SPAN. It is so refreshing to be able to turn on the television and watch an event, and I watch Republican events too, and be able to do it without a lot of talking heads tell you what you've just seen or to interpret what was just said. I think the American people are smart enough to figure things out themselves without having everybody tell them what they heard or what they just saw or to interpret what was just said. So I want to thank C-SPAN.
All right. So there you have it. We know we won't be your only source of public affairs news, but we hope that our time together here helped show you how we can be an important complement to your other news sources. We really appreciate your time today and hope that you've learned a little more about how and where C-SPAN fits into the modern media landscape. By following the principles of our big idea and letting viewers decide all on your own what's important to you, by opening the doors to Washington policy making for all to see, and by bringing you unfiltered content from Congress and beyond, by serving it to you on any of the devices you go to for news and information. Now, C-SPAN's big idea is more relevant today than ever. Thank you all so much for listening and just seeing everything that we have for you. Please, my apologies to you all for I had a little bit of technical difficulties, but any questions that you have, Heath and I are now ready to take your questions.
Awesome.
If you missed anything, just let us know.
You all did a great job. Thank you so very much. And how did you want to handle the questions?
You all can put the questions in the chat if you like, or if you can unmute yourself if you want, but it's up to you.
Let's do this. Let's, Richard, I will take the first two that are in the chat right now. I'll read them out loud because you actually had a good one as well, the first one. And then others can, if you want to unmute after we answer those questions, you can do that. Or you can, as April said, you can put them in the chat section. So, Richard, your question: many historians claim that the political party, that's capitalized, is the biggest problem with democracy. What do you think? Come on, we're C-SPAN. We're not going to tell you what we think about that. And how do political parties impact C-SPAN, and what would change if parties disappeared? Well, C-SPAN, we're not going to really comment on what we think about political parties, but what we do know is for the past 40 plus years, we've been trying to give you and the public direct access to the elected officials that represent you. So it doesn't matter if it's a Republican administration or a Democrat administration, our goal is to give you that access uninterrupted, not in a non-biased, nonpartisan way. And that's why, we say the cameras are like our reporters, right? We put those up and they tell the story. And I've been doing this job for 20 years now, and I've been to 49 states through this job. And that's the biggest compliment that I receive from others that watch C-SPAN is, you know what, hey, thanks. You put a camera up and you let it roll, and I can make an informed decision on my own, make up our own mind. That's why we call it make up your own mind. So political parties don't really, affect us. Obviously, it's a two-party system now, if you look at it. But however, with that being said, and April went over this in the, so I think she mentioned this, we covered the Libertarian Party and the Green Party. We had both those candidates on our network. So it's just not those two. It's multiple viewpoints to help you get a better understanding of topics. So, I'll let you guys debate what your thoughts are on political parties. And of course, C-SPAN, if you watch some of the think tanks in our coverage, they discuss that as well, the history of political parties and their influence on, on our democracy. But great question. Eric, I'm gonna get to your question. Eric Stevens, though C-SPAN isn't driven as much by ratings, what are your highest rated shows? How do you go about making decisions about what events, hearings, proceedings to show on C-SPAN? So I will take the first one. You're absolutely correct. We don't have ratings. So people think Nielsen, right? Nielsen doesn't really apply to C-SPAN since we don't have commercials. However, every 4 years after a presidential election show, my boss, Marty Dominguez, is on this call. She's our VP of marketing. She's probably in the discussions now with our top brass to every 4 years we do a survey on our audience. I can tell you 4 years ago, and this will come as no surprise, that it's very balanced, like ideologically, like conservative, liberal, moderate. It's kind of percentage-wise. We broke down that 100% is kind of balanced. Gender is balanced as well. What you might find surprising is 2/3 of our audience, viewing audience from this survey is 55 or under. So 2/3, so 66 is under. So I found that interesting when we did the survey. I would say our Washington Journal, our morning call-in program, which is 7 to 10 a.m. your time, is like our signature, one of our flagship signature programs. People, again, just this is my experience talking to folks, they really enjoy that because they can tune in the morning. They hear from elected officials, public policymakers, reporters, sort of talking about what's the news of the day. And then the beauty of that show, going back to C-SPAN, right? We don't have reporters. We have what we call moderators. We have a moderator there to get the discussion going. We take calls from viewers and listeners throughout the program. So you drive the conversation. So you fact check. So you hold folks to speak to the fire, so to speak. So, and we do that we go Democrat, Republican, Independent. We take those calls throughout the program. But I would say the Washington Journal is one of our more popular shows. But again, people like seeing, we are committed to covering. The other question is, what do we decide to cover? We cover the House, U.S. House of Representatives on C-SPAN. So if they're in session, that's our commitment to giving you access to that body, right? So if they're in session for 40 seconds, 40 minutes, 40 hours, you're gonna see that on C-SPAN, the U.S. House of Representatives. C-SPAN 2 is the Senate live gavel to gavel, right? C-SPAN 3 allows us, so if those two bodies are in session, allows us to cover maybe a big committee hearing or an event at the White House live in its entirety. So that's what C-SPAN 3 allows us to do. Our Book TV, American History TV programs are independent. So every weekend they make the decision of what's going to air. But again, multiple viewpoints on history, multiple viewpoints on authors from different, along the political spectrum. From a general standpoint, every Monday through Thursday at 3:30, the C-SPAN team, programming team sits down and they go through, okay, what's potentially big that's coming up? What haven't we covered? We got to look at, we had this perspective on and it leaned left a little bit. So we need to, on this topic, we have to have something that leans right. We have various think tanks, Cato, Heritage, Brookings as well. So they sit down on a daily basis to determine what to cover each day. And sometimes it's like, the House isn't going to be in session this week. And then all of a sudden they're in session. So we have to scramble. So it just, again, goes back to our commitment to covering those two bodies. But on a daily basis, Monday through Thursday, they sit down and make that decision. So really good question. A question from Linda. Since so many today are turning away from opinion news after this election, do you feel more people are turning to C-SPAN now? I would say, I think there is definitely an appreciation, and I touched upon this already, appreciation, thirst, hunger for people throughout the country to watch something and make up their own mind on what they're seeing. So I'm not going to comment on opinion news or commentary by other networks. I think information is important, but I do know people appreciate coming to our network and watching the whole thing on their own without interruption. And even watch, one exercise that when we're out traveling with the C-SPAN bus, which is our mobile classroom, education mobile classroom, around this time, we would be asked, when we talk to high school students and university students, we say, okay, debate season, watch the debate. Tune to C-SPAN at 8 p.m. No, wait a second, the debate starts at 9. Turn to the C-SPAN at 8 p.m. You can see our coverage, right? We put the camera up and we just let it roll for that hour leading up to the actual debate. Get a feel for the room. the Commission on Presidential Debates, those representatives come out and they share, they talk about protocol for what's going to happen with the debate with the audience. And then we turn on our cameras and you watch the whole thing. And during the debate, I tell them, look, even look at our graphics. Our graphics are, simple, right? Because again, we don't want to distract, we don't want to take away from what's being discussed. And then after the debate, Richard, you talked about this, like talking heads, right? People commentary. C-SPAN, what do? We don't have talking heads. We open up our phone lines so the viewers and listeners that just watched the debate can share their feedback and what they thought was the most important. So I think there is an appreciation for C-SPAN, and they are turning to us to get that kind of straight from the horse's mouth, primary source perspective. And this is the reason this virtual world of ours is we've adapted, and then we're finding it pretty successful. It's because people know C-SPAN's on TV, right? And of course, they're like, okay, you're probably online. Sometimes they're like, oh, you have this video library going back to 1987 with everything that's aired on C-SPAN. We're like, yeah, primary source, right? You can go there, you can fact check people, and news organizations will use our archive to say, okay, what did this politician, elected official say back when he or she was in the majority or minority? And it's a really great tool in that regard. But then we want to make sure they know that we're on social media. And then also there's this great app called the C-SPAN radio app. Again, it's free. It's ways to follow what's happening in Washington, D.C. through our resources. And, that's why this dialogue, this conversation is good. So you can learn about those ways to follow C-SPAN, or use C-SPAN to follow your elected officials as well. Happy birthday, Jim. Make it a good one.
I think that is our last question. Before I turn it over to Eric and before we thank you again, I just have one final question for both you and April as people involved in news, whether it's personally or professionally. What has been the most memorable moment or the coolest moment since you've been with C-SPAN? I'm interested to hear what you all have to say before we close out here.
April, I'm going to, ladies first. I'm going to defer to you first, April, and then I'll share mine.
Coolest moment at C-SPAN, or as far as, okay, well, my coolest moment, I won't go into the personal, well, yeah, why not? So I was raised by my grandmother, and, I was raised watching C-SPAN. And, a lot of times, a lot of times listening to the news and watching the news, you only get what you see when the news is presented. But when you're behind the scenes and you're able to actually see what's going on, one of my most memorable moments is working with the team that I work with. I was able to see a level of professionalism that I'm not going to say that I haven't been able to see in other places that I've worked, but here it's on a whole different level. And it's to the point where you'll never know exactly anybody's affiliation with whatever party they're following, but the level of professionalism, the moments of seeing people put forth the work, the hard work that it takes to be able to give to the viewers and helping the viewers make up their own mind. I guess this for me, like I said, I've only been at C-SPAN a little over a year, but this for me has been just a wonderful experience all around. And especially being able to do this, of course, in the virtual world, being able to get on here and just talk to different people that are in different places, especially like Raleigh Rotary, like we're doing today. I just really appreciate this. This has been a wonderful experience.
Yeah, I'll be real brief. I've been to 49 states for the job. I started right out of college. I've been to conventions, I've been to debates, election night, I've been to the cities where the candidates were from. I'll tell you, the one thing where things really kind of hit me was I was at a debate in early 2000, and I was behind the scenes, and there was a senator, and we'll say from what state, and he was eating a hot dog, and he got mustard on his tie. And I just, like, for me, it was like, you see these people on television, you see how passionate they are about their constituency and the issues and the back and forth and the control. you know, for me, there's like regular folks, right? And he was just like shaking his head and just like, oh man, and I was from afar, but that was like, it really taught me a lot about, hey, these people are, I think, working hard. They're trying to, and they're just like, you know, I get a hot dog on my shirt pretty much every week. So, that's my little tidbit. So, but this was great. Thanks so much.
Thank you, C-SPAN, on behalf of everybody at the Rotary Club of Raleigh. Thank you so much. Eric, back to you.
All right. Thank you, Richard. And thank you to C-SPAN. This was a great presentation. When you have a democratic form of government, it's so important to get clear and accurate and transparent information to the people so they can make their choices accordingly. And you guys are playing a very important role in making sure that the people who are supposed to be acting on our behalf are doing so in a transparent fashion. So thank you for all you guys do. Thank you for helping to provide us information that we need to do our democratic duty. And I hope you guys have a good couple of months. I guess you'll be spending some time here in Georgia coming up. All right, and I had begun this program by thanking all of the people that kind of put their hat in the ring to seek public office or to serve in public office. I did also mean and to thank all of the people who served our country through the armed forces. We do have Veterans Day coming up on Wednesday, and we have so many of our members. I'm not going to name them all for fear of leaving somebody out, but so many of our members who served honorably, served their country in everything from World War II to recent conflicts. And we appreciate your service and all you've done to make all of us safe. So happy Veterans Day to everyone. I hope everybody has a great week, and we will now close the program as we always do with the four-way test.
I know an amazing amount of people who engaged in this election.
All right.
The counting continues, voted for the person across the political aisle from you, and they aren't going anywhere. And
Okay, of the things.
I know I've heard you say it, we are all together in this. So I appreciate your time on the show today.
All right, of the things we think, say, and do, first, is it the truth? Second, fair to all concerned. Third, will it build goodwill, better friendships? And fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week, and we will see you next Monday. Let's all be ready to give a warm welcome to Kirk Warner as he talks about his book. Take care.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye, Linda.
Bye. See you tonight. Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.